Why is Kent Hovind still in prison? It sounds like a ridiculous question if you know the case. Now, it sounds like a redundant and ridiculous question. I'm asking the question, why is Kent Hovind still in jail? Some would say it's obvious why he's in jail. It's tax evasion and these structuring problems he made when he tried to avoid the IRS. But I want to look at the evidence and prove he has been railroaded constantly. I'm your host, the doctor of common sense, E.T. Williams. Please visit the website at www.whateverhappenedtocommonsense.com. I am America's anchorman, and I like to bring you stories that others do not bring. A variety of stories. You can get the app of the Doctor of Common Sense at iTunes, or you can visit the website www.whateverhappenedtocommonsense.com, or look at the link below. Kent Hovind. Now, some of you may not be familiar with Kent Hovind. I've seen the debate between him and Hugh Ross, and I had forgot about how many years ago I had seen that debate, but I looked it up again. Erin Davis and her husband had been trying to help Kent Hovind, and they had been doing everything they can to get this story out about Mr. Kent Hovind. Erin and her husband had asked me several times to do a video on this, and I wanted to do justice when I did the video on this. Now, when you look at the evidence of Kent Hovind, one comes to a couple of conclusions. Now, when first glance at it, you say, okay, he's in there for tax evasion. He was trying not to pay his taxes. Seems like shut and closed case. But let's examine a couple of things. First of all, this is the same IRS that Lois Lerner was heading. And this is the same IRS who has intimidated and lied and locked people up, seized people property without just cause. If we look at the IRS, we want to see whether the IRS really was targeting Kent Hovind because of his religious conviction and what he said about the Illuminati and the New World Order, what he said about evolution, or were they really trying to convict him with a just penalty of tax evasion in these structuring laws? I don't know if you're familiar with the theme park that Kent and his wife founded. It's called the Dinosaur Adventureland. Kent Hovind believes that dinosaurs and humans were on the earth at the same time. So in other words, he's a young creationist. And it's pretty profound, and it's pretty interesting when you hear his argument about not only creation, a young earth. In the debate with him and Hugh Ross, I must say he literally destroys Hugh Ross in the debate. But when I look at these so-called charges on Kent Hovind, most of his tax problems is focusing on Dinosaur Adventureland. Now, I believe they recently just pinned another charge on him. Some say they would just up the ante on an old charge. Some believe a letter that he sent off, they charged him with a new charge because I believe they were trying to seize the property over at Dinosaur Adventureland, and he was trying to stop them from seizing that property, so they hit him with another charge. But the most of his charges are stem from the structuring law. This is this is a thing where those who are tax exempt keep their withdrawals and deposit below $10,000. It's some kind of structuring laws which is supposed to be legal. But anytime the IRS writes a law, they make it so complicated, so there are ways to get around it. Now, others have done this same thing before to this structure in law, and they had been hit with fines, not locked up and put in jail. But for some reason, Kent Hovind was put in jail for these structural laws. But let's look at some of the things that has happened with this trial to let you know that he was railroaded. There's an assistant U.S. attorney, Michelle Hellmeyer. Kent sent several letters making his argument pretty plain. When you look at the argument, he says, I've attached my third affidavit, exhibit number 2, were letters from 3 tax professionals whom I paid to review my ministry. The whole Young Creationist and the Dinosaur Adventureland was considered a tax-exempt ministry. He said, I paid them to ensure I was obeying all tax laws that applied. He says the IRS booklet number 517 says I am to ask these 3 professionals. In other words, these are enrolled agents for the IRS. So he paid these 3 approved IRS agents in order to look over his records to see if he owed any taxes. Was he violating any laws? They all said he was violating no laws and he owed no taxes. The U.S. Attorney Michelle withheld these letters from the grand jury and the petite jury, it's called, to deceive them deliberately. He said he also attached several letters that I had written to the lead IRS agent who testified against him, an agent by the name of Scott. He sent him the letters. I believe they tried to get him for intimidating an agent too by sending him letters. He said he sent him letters from the tax professionals and asked him to please show me if I was violating any law. In other words, he wrote the lead IRS person, Scott, and asked him to show him if he was violating any laws. Scott never answered a single letter because they were trying to railroad him. As a matter of fact, the attorney, U.S. attorney, Miss Michelle, never even admitted this into the evidence. A full year, she had got this a full year before the jury and before the trial, but she purposely and maliciously withheld evidence that would have proven that he had not done anything wrong. She violated her duty to ensure I received a procedural justice by not demanding his testimony be stricken from the record and the case be dismissed. This is his letter to the court records. In other words, not only did Kent send his information and ask these certified CPA officials or these agents who the IRS had approved, they wrote letters saying he didn't owe any money, that he had violated no law. This is what they wrote. This evidence was never presented to the jury, and that's why Kent is in jail right now. You're talking about a man being railroaded. It may have something to do with his argument about the New World Order or his mockery of the evolutional system. He has talked about the Illuminati, some of his teachings. So technically, Kent may be in jail more so for his belief system than it has anything to do with any type of tax evasion. Because if he had truly violated the law and had been a tax dodger, why didn't these certified officials who the IRS certified, and also this agent who was the lead IRS agent, not address him and says, no, Mr. Kent Hovind, you have violated the law because of this. No one said anything until the trial, and then that evidence was withheld from the jury. So he's set now, rotting in jail for the last 8 years because justice is blind. Now, justice won't look at people like Bernie Frank, who had a young male prostitute, running a horse service out of his apartment while he was still a senator, congressman, or whatever. And no charges was filed against him. The justice system is just. What about Mr. Epstein, Bill Clinton's running buddy, the Jewish billionaire who was letting little girls massage him, bringing little underage girls in, having sexual encounters with little girls. I think we gave him a couple of months and he was on probation. He's back out doing what he does. Why is it so many child molesters have gotten off with crimes, and the IRS and our government goes for people like Kent Hovind? You think justice is not blind? You still trust in your government when they railroad people like Kent Hovind? Why didn't they charge a fine? No, they wanted to shut him up. They wanted to seize his property. They wanted to make sure he's made an example of, so the rest of you will learn to shut your mouth and not speak boldly. He is a preacher of the gospel, and he's unapologetic for it. He is also a creationist. He is also one who believes that the government is corrupt. He is also one that believes that the New World Order and this evolution is definitely a joke. Evolution is stupid, he said in one of his videos, stating how the foolishness of evolution. Now, people may believe that certain animals, certain dogs can create different types of dogs inside the species, but nobody believed that a dog was once an elephant. That is one of the stupidest arguments I have ever heard. He also mocks the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory. So in other words, he's stepping on a lot of toes, and one may come to the conclusion that it ain't got a dang thing to do with Kent's tax evasion, but it has more to do with his profession of what he believes in. Kent is still in jail right now, and all of us should be outraged because you too can be Kent Hovind. You too can easily be railroaded by the government, and be lucky if you got good people who's out there fighting for Kent. People like Erin and her husband out there fighting for Kent. We should have more people when you're down, when you've been railroaded, to stand up and fight for you. Because eventually, what goes around, it comes around again. No doubt about it. It ain't just called karma.